Ho ho ho! It is day 4 of daily uploads. You guys know it. So, today's topic is manual gameplay, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys are doing this on auto battle. Don't even lie. Don't even kid yourself. Don't even try to believe that you're going to be a manual player, because I know most of you guys are not going to play this on manual. But for the people that are going to play manual, just like me, I will give you some tips on how to do it. Some of you guys probably know some of these, so it's nothing new. But some of you guys may not. So that's why I'm here. So let's get right into it. First topic, hitbox manipulating. Now, one of the biggest things when it comes to hard content is hitboxes. You're very slow for the most part, and you have 3 vanguards, meaning your hitbox is enormous when it comes to quote unquote bullet hell scenarios. So what do you do here? Hitbox manipulation. Basically, how this works is you hug any wall on your side of the field, so it can be like the back wall, the top wall, or the bottom wall, and you make it so you put your top vanguard or your front vanguard and your back vanguard lined up into basically one ship. So when you're stacked in this one section, your hitbox becomes very, very tiny. Now your movement becomes a little bit harder. You can't move as well. So like, let's say you're stacked with one hitbox and you try to move up, it's gonna make your hitbox big again. So you gotta move a little bit by little bit in order to make it work. But when it comes to extreme bullet hell scenarios, it is very, very good to keep your hitbox small, because this makes it so not all your ship gets hit, probably like 1 or 2, but not all 3. If you guys are struggling with this, the best way to do is just to hug a corner. Corners are the best because it shoves you into one dimension, or like the one shape, versus hugging a wall. So if you guys are struggling with that, go ahead and do that. Will this be useful? Maybe, maybe not. I doubt it, but if you guys want to do it, go ahead. Just remember, abuse your hitboxes. Now, the second one is front and back strafing. So most of you guys, don't know if you guys know this, when you're moving in battle, most of the time when you're charging in, your front vanguard takes a lot of damage, right? Let's say you lose half your HP running in like an idiot. Now, what do you do here? You don't want your front vanguard to die, obviously. You want to have as much uptime with your front vanguard as much as possible. So what you do is you can move up and down, and right before a projectile gets fired, you back off. What you do by backing off is you make it so your back vanguard takes the heat, while your front vanguard takes no damage whatsoever. There's a reason why people say put your squishiest vanguard in the middle, because when you're doing this kind of strafing and whatnot, most of the time your middle vanguard will not take damage, so you can ignore that completely. It's going to be mostly your front and your back. So if your front is low on HP, do that little bit maneuver so your back takes some damage, and then vice versa. Keep going back and forth until you either lose or you win. Simple. Now, quick tapping. There's 2 variations. The first one is quick tapping for auto. So what this means is if you're doing like battleships and you're in a position where you can't really aim manually for your BB salvos to go off, what you do is you do a quick tap on the auto to auto button on your screen, and then immediately click it again to turn it off. What you do by doing this is the salvo immediately gets shot. You guys must have seen this, must have seen me do this in my EX videos a lot. Basically, I quick tap the top left so I can get an instant lock in to do damage. The only downside to this is that you lose on the 20% damage because you're not aiming manually. So that's pretty much it. But it's very, very safe DPS for the most part. Just quick tap it, turn it back off, and go back to dodging if you're playing on manual. Now the second one is quick tapping on manual. What this is if you're in a position where you can do a manual salvo, rather than hold it and locking in, because by doing this you make it so your vision is very, very small, you quick tap it. First of all, you gotta get an estimate of where your ship is away from the boss. Once you get a good feel for it, all you gotta do is spam tap that salvo button, and as soon as it comes active, it immediately gets fired without you having to aim at all. And this applies that 20% bonus for aiming manually as well, which is very, very good. And you save time by doing this without having to zoom in, because by zooming in, you're putting yourself in danger of whatever is being fired at you, and you may die from that. Now, the fifth one is a boundary boost. This one, it may be useful, it may not be useful. Most likely it won't be useful, but hey, you can probably use this somewhere in the game or whatever. Basically, what you do is there is an invisible boundary that you cannot push, or without enough movement speed, you cannot push. Some DDs can push through it, but if you're using like heavy cruisers and light cruisers, you most likely can't push this boundary. So what you do is you push as far into that boundary as much as possible, and then you release. By doing this, you get a really high speed boost that you can use to do whatever for about maybe 1.5 seconds or so. Now, this may not be like the greatest strat or whatever, but this is a good strategy if the boss is firing projectiles at you that you literally cannot dodge, or is projected to aim at you in a specific way where wherever you are is where it's going to fire at. So you can use this movement speed to get a little bit more boost to what you currently have to make it so it's easier to dodge for you. The next one is screen clear. Now, this one is easy. Very easy. Everyone knows, or at least most of you guys know, that carriers can screen clear in this game. So most of the time, when you see projectiles, torpedoes, lasers, or balls flying at you, you do an airstrike, and it clears whatever is off the screen. Very useful. Time those very well. Don't use them too hastily, unless you're trying to go for big burst damage, but try not to use them without thinking ahead. And the last one, timer awareness. Something some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not know, but it's very simple. Some skills in this game, for example, Assault Order by Cleveland or Kent or Helena Scan is 20 seconds. Every 20 seconds, you have a chance to proc it, right? So, some of you guys may not know that in the top right corner, you have 5 minutes. It depends on the story, but you have a timer in the top right. You want to be aware of that timer. You can use that to your advantage. For example, let's say in EX fights, you have 5 minutes for the fight. So, with my knowledge of the skill timers, at around 4 minutes and 40 seconds is when the scanner should pop off. Time that with your skills so you can do it preemptively. For example, in this case, I am going to fire a salvo at about 4:40 on the dot without having to wait for a scan. Now, it may not scan in that run because it's RNG, but if you fire right at 4:40 while Helena scan is going off, it will apply that damage and you save probably like a second. Now, a second may not be a lot, but in some crucial fights, a second may be everything. So you want to be very aware of that timer. It is useful for not just damage, but for defensive buffs as well. G-On's buff is every 20 seconds or so. So you want to time that with your playstyle. Sometimes you want to be a little bit passive and whatnot. And then you see that 4 minutes and 40 seconds that's about to come up. You can play aggressive for a bit because G-On's shield is coming right back up. So, easy video for you guys. Manual gameplay. Most of you guys aren't playing this on manual, I'll tell you that much. But I'm going to be playing on manual. Unless I'm lazy about it, I'll probably play auto, but I'm playing manual for the most part. Simple tips, very easy. If you guys don't care about it, just play auto, who cares? Yeah. Anyways, that's the 4th video of today. See you guys tomorrow.